everybody, it's Christine. Welcome to another Stealing Saturday. Today I am stealing this layout that you're seeing right now from Daisie Hanson. Now, she has a really colorful style, but she also has a unique style, and that's what I really like about her. Her layouts generally have a really clever, unique element to them, and that has always been something that I really look for in designers, and so I always enjoy seeing what she comes up with. So today I am going to create a beach-themed layout using the Flavors of the Month kit from the Scrap Room this month, and I'm using the Hello Summer page kit from Simple Stories. Now, what appealed to me about this layout from her was a couple of things. First of all, I like her embroidery in the middle. Second of all, I like the way she just used a lot of embellishments, stickers, ephemera, all that stuff. More of that than patterned paper. And because this page kit had a lot of that, I felt like it would be a really good one to use for it. So I'm starting things off by mimicking her stitching that she had. And she just had like a circular shape, but hers was a little bit smaller than I'm going for. I'm going to really build it up, and I'm actually going to really build the circle into the background. So I did use a 10-inch circle as a tracing element for where I wanted to put my lines. And as you saw, I used a big giant ruler to make sure my lines go straight. And I've got it all on there now. Now, this is not obviously a very long stitching process, just a quick little addition because they're just big, long, straight stitches. The next thing I'm going to do is add a striped border. She also has a big striped border in her background. She just set her paper on hers. I'm actually going to do some mitered edges because I want it to be a little bit more of a prominent feature on this layout. So I'm cutting 3/4 inch strips out of this, and then I'm going to adhere those onto my layout and miter the edges so that the stripes show on every side instead of having two sides where there's just one straight up color. So I'm going to just take my Easy Runner Grand and add those to each border side, and I'm going to line up my colors. So there you see in the top, I've got the pink on pink, and then I've got the aqua on aqua in the corner. And I'm going to do that for each corner so that I get a bit of a square in the middle there. It's not going to be perfect because that's just the nature of this technique, but it's pretty darn close actually this time. The stripes lined up really quite well for me. So after I secure all those, and you can see I'm securing them really tightly down the middle, but I'm leaving the edges pretty loose, I'm just going to take my scissors and snip right from the corner to the inside edge on it, and that will just make it so that each spot gets mitered. This is I believe it's a woodworking technique. I don't do any woodworking, but I believe that's where it comes from. And it works really well for creating cool patterned paper borders. And you can see I got some pretty good squares going in each of those corners. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is get my picture on there and really finish building the layout. I've got my base here. I've got everything ready to roll. Now I am going to use a square picture, and just like she did, I'm going to have just a nice big central focus. I am going to bring in some black by doing some outlining throughout this layout because this collection has black in it. And so I really want to play that up. I don't want it to look like it's out of place when I start adding embellishments. So I outlined that border there, and you'll see me outlining throughout the process today. Now I'm going to add my picture to some of the striped paper. I also matted it in white, and then I'm going to just smack it down there in the middle. And then this totally went off from what she did. It just caught my eye when I was working, and that is I cut out these little wave strips. They came from another patterned paper in the kit, and I felt like they would just be a nice addition and a softer addition because I've got a lot of lines, straight, rigid lines going right now. So I thought this would soften everything up a little bit. So I'm adding a longer wave and then two shorter ones. The longer one will be on the outside so it doesn't overlap the embroidery at all. And you can see that's really pulling the eye into the picture right now. Just a really simple technique. I just followed along with my scissors and fussy cut it right out. I didn't worry about being too exact. I kept the aqua color on the outside and the white lines in the middle so that those really pop. And I'm just securing it on there with my dual tip glue pen, which is just a liquid adhesive from Home and Hobby. Now, you can see here I go again with my outlining. I am not going to outline everything. Sometimes I do outline everything when I really want to play up the black, but I just want it to be a subtle addition today, so I'm just adding it in a few spots. Here I am using a cut apart piece from the collection to again bring in a little bit more black, and I'm going to just tuck a piece of it underneath that bottom right corner of the picture and then also the top left corner, but I'm going to use my scissors to cut out this banner piece from it before I go ahead and secure it. I like the words, I like the pop of color, especially with the wave background that I've got in that picture there. I think it'll pop really nicely. And so you can see I'm just going to add that in there to be a added little text and added little feature. I am going to actually pop it up because it's naturally popping up. And so I'm going to just secure that with a 3D foam square from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L just to make sure it stays down. I don't want it to get bent out of shape. It's pretty much obviously popping up on its own as the picture's popped up, and the embroidery and all those things are really creating some good dimension. Now, Daisy had built all around her layout with her title. She had a part of her title at the top and part at the bottom, and then she had some bigger element clusters going on with that. I am going to copy that. And then she had a lot of smaller embellishments all surrounding the picture. Now, one thing that I don't think she necessarily was going for, but I did go for, is I am really going to play up the circle. Hers has a little more of a boxy feel, and I am going for more of a circular feel. Again, because I've got so many strong lines going on right now, I want to soften that whole thing up. So I'm going to build my embellishments in as if there is a circular line connecting all those rays that I've got going on right now. So basically, like, I left that circle that you saw in the beginning there, I'm using that as kind of an invisible border, and you will see in the final layout, it really does kind of show up. One of the things that I'm going to pull in from this kit is both the stickers and the ephemera, and I'm going to just use various pieces of it for my bigger embellishment clusters. Now, I really like the sunshine. It was a little hard to figure out the placement on it because I didn't want to hide the embroidery. Ultimately, I decided to tuck it under the embroidery, but still make it a pretty prominent part of my title there. I'm also going to bring in some of these clouds just because I don't know, I have a hard time resisting clouds. If there's a cloud in a collection, I am very likely to use it, as I am with the sunshine. That's why those are rarely left over after I get through my kits. So I'm going to tuck some clouds there, both at the bottom cluster and the top cluster. And those also I liked because they kind of pull out the color in my son's shirt in the picture there. Now, I'm going to pull out some of the little ephemera pieces, which especially were flowers and circles in this case. And so I'm going to use those. Again, both of those are nice curved, soft embellishments. So they really help soften some of the sharp lines. And you can see the whole thing is getting softer the longer I add to it. The circles are both a mix of stickers as well as ephemera, and the flowers are strictly from the ephemera part. So I've got parts from this kit that are both from the actual kit as well as from the embellishment kit, which they really complement each other and make it easy to put together an entire layout. And quite frankly, I've got enough to do at least one more layout. There's some really good, fun embellishments in this one. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Usually, by the time I get done with my scrap room kit, after I've done the different page kits, I'm pretty well done with that collection, and I'm not really necessarily wanting to go out and buy a whole bunch more of it. This one might be the exception. You know, every once in a while I stumble onto one that I'm like, I would like to play more with this. And that's one of the things I love about this kit club. It gives you the chance to try things out and see, like, oh, do I want more of this? Or, yeah, okay, that was fun to play with, but I don't really need more of it. This one, there's just a lot of really fun elements. I like the writing in it. I like the icons that they use in it. And so I'm really tempted to get some more of it so I can just exhaust it a little bit more. I also really like the colors in it, so I think that's part of what is catching me. You can see I am actually cutting some of the circles. They come in clusters, so like 3 of them, and so I'm cutting them in half and stuff and tucking them under the embroidery just to bring out a little bit, to give me more, to be honest. I don't want them quite so big, and I want them in more spots. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just add some black dots all over the background. Now this is to kind of create my visual circle, as well as play up the black a little more. And there are some patterned papers in this collection that have that look to it, and so I'm mimicking that a little bit. Then I'm going to also add some yellow dots and red dots, not yet, yellow dots and red dots throughout, and that will be about it. So let's be sure to head over to Daisie and see what she has stolen from me today. Every Saturday I steal from another designer, and she's doing the same from me, and I'm excited to see what she has created. Her link is down below, as well as the original video that she did for the one that I stole from her. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you again soon.